welcome to another inmendham video production, brought to you by aggravation and frustration. Yes. Anyway, yeah, this guy, and this guy. So anyway, two videos, anti-BullshitMen, BullshitMen really, and whatever, Farty Man. Amori, farty, whatever, fatty, whatever, loving your fate bullshit. And it's this whole, look, yes, make lemonade, but don't pretend lemons aren't, well, I love lemons actually, but whatever. Make shit aid. make it better than it has, to make the best of it, right? That's like a concept, right? Make the best of it. Yeah, do that. Life gives you shit, do something with it, paint it, bronze it, whatever you have to do, make it into something. Do it the best you can with what you got. Yeah, everybody's for that, right, in principle? But it only goes so far anyway, right? I mean, a drunk driver crashes into you, paralyzes you, cuts all your arms and legs off or something. Yeah, well, you have a right to go, give me a drink, would you? I need to get out of here. I need to go on vacation. But whatever. The real game is the big game, as I've stated before. So, this whole idea of whatever, comforting yourself. Yeah, drugs will do that. I mean, all this love your fate bullshit. You can change your fate tomorrow. Heroin. Do anything. You can just disappear. You can go to all kinds of fantasy lands. You don't have to love your fate. You can just evade it. But whatever. Again, the principle of make the best of it. Certainly reasonable. Don't make it any worse than it has to be. Oh, well, yeah, okay, that sounds logical. I don't need to be a fucking Indian guru to know that one. Fuck. Anyway. And then anti-BullshitMen's doing the, let's slice and dice philosophical concepts into, minutia. And it's just so pointless. There's the distinctions between different ways of appreciating how bad is or how good is. And, frankly, again, the idea is that we know how bad the bad is on planet Earth. There's lots of horrible. And that horrible is basically financing whatever good you're doing. And do you really think the good you're doing is good enough to justify some kid having chemotherapy or something? Do you really think it's a good trade-off? I obviously don't think it's anywhere close. Certainly any kind of impositional kind of 2 million suicide victims and all that kind of stuff. It's not worth all their torment and, all the people in the mental hospitals or the homeless people. I mean, all the mental torment going on. There's just nothing we're doing. We're not singing and dancing well enough to justify the cover charge for our singing and dancing. The theater's too expensive for the crappy show. Lots of ways of saying it. And you really don't need to do all this slicey dicey shit. So anyway, but he's hung up on some issue about there is a real good, and then somehow implying almost, there's sort of an implication, that there's something, reason why there'd be some justification to endure some level of risk because of this real good. So, yeah, I mean, we've all had, like, sensations, right, feelings. And we have those, sexual ones, and oh, yeah, ooh, and yet all feels like it's, well, that can't be bad. There can't be any bad element in there. But I could still argue, I think, that it's really just perception. It depends on how deep in the cellar you are, and, you're still climbing out of it in a sense. I'm still going to argue that all of those sensations they sort of reek of relief. They're sort of like, pulling the knife out and extracting the pus. And, they sort of, I mean, you know, even looks a little bit like that. You know, and it has the commensurate sensation to go with that relief. And so this idea that we don't know our native condition, you know, how much we've acclimated to our misery, and I think, you know, you can sort of do that, at least I can. You know, you can sit back and clear your head and try to get in touch with your body, and your body starts complaining. I mean, if you listen to it, you'll hear it complain. And you can kind of find that, oh yeah, even gravity's a pain in the ass. You know, even my eyelids are, you know, feel kind of burdened. Oh yeah, I'm really hard, you know, keeping them open, working at it all the time. We have all this tension and all this anxiety built into us. I mean, like I said, I could, you know, if you won the lottery tomorrow, right, you'd have this joyous relief. That's what the feeling's made out of. It's a relief of a bunch of psychology that's in your head right now. Now, you might right now say, I'm not burdened by my poverty or my lack of lottery winning. But clearly you are, because if I make you a millionaire tomorrow, you're going to feel good. It's going to happen. And so, you know, it's going to happen because you really do feel bad. You just are so acclimated to it, you just goddamn don't know it. And I think that's a legitimate theory. But he just, no, no, they're silly, silly, stupid idiots think these things. Anyways, I'll play some of this crap.
Willing to refuse trade-offs that a non-deprivationalist negative utilitarian would refuse. Because the non-deprivationalist negative utilitarian will understand the neutrality.
I mean, who the fuck cares about these things? A non-deprivationist, non-utilitarian, or negative utilitarian, or a, I mean, whatever. If you gotta have 7 or 8 words in your title, fuck you.
Neutrality is the actual neutrality. This bogus crap about the optimal blissful state being the only neutral state. No, no, no. The optimal blissful state is a genuinely positive state.
That's your argument, your statement. I guess I'm just saying that if I start thinking about it and I start extracting the things that I believe are compressing me, that I'll start getting more and more blissful. I'll start getting closer and closer to a beautiful state. And I sort of have had that in the, one of those, like the awakening state, where you're waking out of a dream sometimes and you're in a place that's just very, very, very comfortable. And you sort of get a taste of that, where you're kind of unburdened by much of reality and gravity and everything. Your whole sense of being is kind of floating about. And I just argue that that's sort of what you're after. This is a and that, again, this idea of bliss is just a condition of a chemistry, and to say that there's a positive chemical state without the requirement of the negative state, I guess I'm just going to argue that you really can't need anything until you need it, till the hunger thing is created, till the it's like love or something. You got to be lonely. You got to be this. You got to be a lot of things before you can fall into that.
And the genuinely neutral state is the neutral state, right? And so, like, think of the cliche.
No, I mean the general neutral state is the neutral state, right? Well, no, I mean, what is the neutral state? Again, I don't really understand what you're saying. I mean, from my perspective, I would say if I've been unburdened by poverty, so I've basically won the lottery, and I'm unburdened by physical miseries of any kind, I think I'm going to be feeling pretty fucking goddamn good. And it's not going to, and that's neutral. So I'm just saying that I think the neutral state, being relieved of all burden, all negative imposition, all compression of some part of your psychology, I think is going to be rather blissful, not neutral, whatever neutral would be. I don't know what a neutral would be. Half hot and half cold? It just doesn't work.
Criticisms of utilitarianism, just blank slate, box standard utilitarianism, like stuff about ancient Rome and gladiator wars and how the utilitarian libertarian, if you just put enough people into stands, and if it makes enough people happy, the fact that you get the gladiators beating the shit out of each other can be compensated for by the fact that all that happiness ensued.
Well, well, again, that is if you think happiness is pure profit. If you don't think that the people have to first have some need to feel that comfort, and that comfort isn't already used up by them experiencing it. The happiness of the person in the fan isn't going to do the gladiator's misery any good whatsoever. It's not going to be some kind of frosting you can spread on his suffering to make his suffering now neutral or nothing. I just don't think that's rational to say. That's simply put, you use up the value of the medicine on the person you cure. The cured person can't, just because they're happy, I'm cured, I'm happy, and that somehow fixes some other person who has the misery. It doesn't. They used up their cure by being cured. So this will just get, this is just too. I mean, it's, I suppose there's some, people require this kind of parsing, but I just don't see any point in it. Your happiness does not fix somebody else's unhappiness. You cannot do it that way. You cannot say that the fancy pants elitist who's enjoying a cup of tea, compensates. Their comfort compensates for the slave's misery. It's just stupid. Their comfort is already, the value of it is used up by them experiencing it. They've now put themselves in a comfortable place rather than an uncomfortable place. They're not in the field having to work, so they're the ones already benefiting. They've already used up the value of it.
From them, well, beating the shit out of each other. But again, the moment you accept deprivationalism or anti-frustrationism, the moment you
I mean, who wants to do this? Deprivationalism, anti-frustrationalism? Oh, please. Oh, fuck. Anyway, on to fucking another idiot plays with words.
Sides of the same coin, right? Being indifferent, I guess, would be a Buddhistic sort of idea where you're just...
Right, be indifferent. Right, your wife gets cancer. Be indifferent. Well, I'm not happy, or I'm not sad, and I'm not upset, and I'm not anything. I'm just going to pretend it's the way it is. It's just fate. Blah, 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 blah. My life is ruined. It won't be fun anymore. I don't get to have any sex anymore. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever.
Meeting everything with equanimity. Or even indifference.
Yeah, no, you just figured, no, this is what I'm stuck with, so I'll do the best I can, and that's all you can do. I'll do the best I can with the city's circumstance. I won't sit there and moan and groan, because that doesn't accomplish anything. But I certainly might say, gee, this sucks. I certainly might advise somebody else, hey, don't, blah, 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 because that sucks. I mean, that's the learning from experience thing. Yeah, you learn that life is a little bit too fucked up to play with, right? You live a life and you say, gee, I was lucky to survive this without breaking something or getting something or having this or having that. And look at all the things I escaped. I'm not going to roll these dice again with somebody else's fate. Yeah, that's the kind of, you just learn. You don't sit there and pretend I didn't have anything. I don't know what's happening. I can't tell the difference between lucky and unlucky. Yeah. Well, you're an idiot then.
I wonder. Arguably, the Buddha was, in a way, preaching indifference, but in another way he wasn't.
Well, that's clear as mud, as they say. Oh, shit.
So...
Baby shit. Yeah, that's almost clear. Ah.
Even in a purely hard, deterministic universe.
Yes, that's what we live in. A deterministic universe. Mechanical little robots doing mechanical little reflexive things based on programming developed over billions of years. La-di-da-di-da. Yes, even if that's the truth, and it is.
I have the option of at least loving or hating or being...
Yes, whatever. Why get emotional about it at all? you have the option to understand it as a process that is completely useless. Or you can understand it as a process that I'm going to be magically indifferent, meaning some kind of crap. I don't even know what, again, what does this even mean? This whole bullshit of show me the example of how you've applied this in some way that is meaningful. This nonsense of love or hate of your fate. What use is either one of those emotions in this circumstance? None.
Indifferent to that which I cannot change.
Indifferent from that what I cannot change. But there again, the argument isn't about what you can change. The argument is about what you can prevent or encourage or make happen or discourage. These are things you still can do. You can prevent the next road kill. Silly person.
That is within my control. It's certainly not easy.
I don't even know what that means again. So what did you do? What did you control, and what did you not easily control? And what's in a good example? Did your testicles get cut off in a tragic, farm implement accident? And you're going to show us how you got over being, what do you call those things? Yeah, one of those things with no testicles. No, you're not going to demonstrate any of this, whatever this is, this crap. How you decided to say it's all okay, I don't care what happens. I'm indifferent to my fate. I don't think you're indifferent. I think it's a lie. I think if this shit hits the fucking goddamn your fanny, you're gonna be plenty distracted. And then, yeah, you might resolve to say, well, okay, this is the way it is. I'm stuck with it. I got to make the best of it. But that's all you're going to do. You're not going to love it.
Especially, say, if you have a fate that most people would consider wonderful, but you hate it anyway. That, I think, drives a lot of people crazy. It's that...
Yeah, whatever. Another example without an example. So he just drew a picture of something that doesn't exist. This person who has a wonderful life, but hates it anyway. Yeah, fuck you.
That old first world problems thing, eh? Where whatever problems people have who, have enough to eat, are well clothed and have a good future, they don't deserve to complain about any of their problems. Therefore, you're invalidated. Your suffering is invalidated.
Yeah, well, whatever. That whole idea of what standard you apply to victory. Yeah, it really depends on the competition, right? So, it's like you got to just up your game. But you can see examples of that, right? I mean, like in golf, for example, right? Yeah. Tiger Woods came along and he had a little better game. It's like Jack Nicklaus did the first time. He showed up and he could do things other people couldn't do, and everybody's like, "Whoa, game over! That guy's gonna own us." But then everybody just has to step up their game to his game, and then everybody realizes, "Hey, we can play even a better game of golf." And that's all that happens. I mean, sometimes it happens in very negative ways. That, everybody just turns into a monster. Like tennis. Tennis is just, it's monsters now. No little people allowed.
First world problem-wise. Well, no, suffering is suffering. If you're suffering, you're suffering. You can't.
Yeah. So what is all this babble about then? What are you talking about? If you're suffering, I'll concede you're suffering, and suffering sucks, and blah, 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 blah. So, never mind.
Tell somebody else that your suffering is invalid. By the same token, if somebody loves their fate, classic example of kind of an irrational love of fate is the well-known nickname of the city of Calcutta. If you want to talk about, say, the poorest and most squalid human life can get, go to the slums north of Calcutta.
Yeah, whatever, exactly. So, yeah, and what? And these idiots, these morons, are having babies in the middle of this scum and sludge and shit and crap. Because why? Because they're stupid. No other reason. Because they're sadistic and masochistic.
we'll see just as bad as human poverty and degradation.
And usually ignorant, you know, religiously ignorant. So let's throw that into the bucket, that they have a delusion that somehow they're overcoming, and they're not. They're just staying in the same place forever.
Filth get, and yet they call it the city of joy. That's a hint at amor fati, love of one's fate. Well, whatever you make.
Right. All the birds are healthy, you know. So again, it's just that argument. It's just perception. I mean, quite obviously, it's not the city of joy. It's the city of tragic, horrid misery. Plenty of tears are being shed, and you just don't see it because no one gives a fuck. So it's like the birds. The birds don't get to go to the hospital. They don't go to the doctor's office. They don't do any of that shit. No, if they have the least little bit of a flaw, they get eradicated and consumed by the environment immediately. They don't even get a chance to fucking goddamn complain. And that's what the poor have in Calcutta. They just get ground up and thrown in the sewer, and their little organs go floating by, and that's it. So yeah, it's out of sight, out of mind. Shit.
Cesspit. It's my fate. I have the option of hate.
Yeah, I wish it was your fate. I just wish it was, and then you could talk this shit to your fellow retards and try to convince them that dying at 35 is okay, and you know, having kids with parasitic diseases is okay, and think it's all swell because you're an idiot. Fuck you. Alright, back to this idiot.
It's kind of spun into your head. These are not genuinely positive states. The happiness of the crowd is not a genuinely, authentically positive state.
It's not a positive state in the sense that, yeah, again, why are they viscerally in need of this in the first place? It's because of they need a vicarious fix of adventure and meaning, and so that's what's stimulating them. So it's fixing their boredom and their tedium, and they're sick of their real life where they have to sew shoes or do some other bullshit, and now they can go to the theater and imagine a better life. So yeah, they've used up the value in their own experience. They've upgraded their own their own dismal to a higher level, but it's already used up. The cure is used up on them experiencing the relief from their life. I mean, really, people don't need entertainment if they're happy.
It's just something that's making the onlookers inch ever closer to neutrality. They're still below neutral. Then, yeah, you simply put enough people in the stands, and the torture of the competitors can be justified, provided you have enough people in the stands.
Yeah, well, again, yeah, provided you think the idiotic and inane sensations of pleasure they're feeling are in some way a true, what's the right word? Something the universe needs. Something that would be terrible if it didn't happen. It would be bad in some way. That there isn't some other pill they could take that would be cheaper than the gladiators. I guess that could be here's the more sensible argument. They can get their cheap thrill. They can get their elevated sense of being, okay, with merely a psychological perception, merely by doing an Andikanta and say, I love my shoemaking. So they could delude themselves into feeling good, because it's just a psychological delusion. It's just a psychological state completely created by perceptual input. It's just a visual. It's like crap on this screen. I don't need real gladiators to die. I don't need real things to suffer. I just need a delusion, a story told to me. And that's the truth of it. So yes, you could gain the same gratification of those people without having real gladiators. You could use robots, right? if they don't know the difference, right? Same thing, right? Same effect. So the argument would be, no, you wouldn't have the price of real suffering. You just have some other synthetic creation of their self-esteem or whatever they're after, their glory moment. And again, I'd only say that those glory moments mean anything to somebody who needs them. All right, it's that the person hungry for the gold medal is not somebody in a neutral state who goes to an advanced state. No, it's somebody who's in a negative state of inadequacy that struggles to win the gold medal.
Make up for that severe level of hardship the competitors are enduring. So again, how can negative utilitarians reconcile the idea that there's anything different between their avoidance of this utility versus the positive utilitarians' pursuit of utility, right? So the avoidance of this utility...
Well, whatever this utility word is, I don't know how it's very useful. Utilitarian is really just in the purpose of, you know, the only thing you're utilitarianly evaluating is the value of suffering in the end, and the real point is that first do no harm, first get rid of the negative, because we have no real proof that this positive you say exists really exists, that it's really not made out of a negative converted, that you're not just really popping a pimple.
For the negative utilitarian, there's supposed to be a delineation there, where we say what we do is we pursue the avoidance of disvalue, whereas the positive utilitarian...
Well, again, you know, it's just your rhetoric's not gonna, it's just not compatible with my notions. I mean, disvalue. But what is that? Yeah. So, well, enough. We'll do a little more Andikanta to get the fuck out of here.
Or I have the option of loving it. Which one should I avail myself of? You know, in terms of my own advantage, what's best for me?
What's best for me? So there we go again, another Hofladay line. What's in it for me? So again, that's the end of his philosophy. His philosophy is that limited in the first place. He doesn't equate. What's the consequence on the other sentient beings I'm interacting with as part of the equation? And again, what is it? Does this really mean anything? I'll love my fate. Oh, okay, I just got two compressed discs in my back, and he's saying, well, you have a choice. You can love it or hate it. You don't have a choice. So this is just fucking bullshit. Shut up. Anyway, yeah, we just jumped. See what the end is. See what how this all comes to a conclusion.
In that world, you would sort of say, okay, that's a little bit irrational because you know that you're living in a dump, therefore you want to improve it. You know that your footprint in terms of improving everything is going to be minimal, and yet...
Well, again, so that's another one of his arguments to try to justify his surrender and his retreat from reality, is this argument that somehow you can't change anything, or you can't fix anything, or you can't make any differences. And of course, that's just a lie. You certainly can't if you don't try. So yes, not trying will guarantee your failure.
You love the situation anyway. Okay, you can say, well, that's crazy. Fair enough. Maybe. But it's no...
Okay, well then I guess you're done. If it's a maybe you're crazy, then maybe you should try harder, because... you know, making the argument that maybe I'm just being crazy, well, then maybe you ought to fix it so maybe you're not being crazy. Maybe you ought to take maybe out of the equation.
Crazier than railing against that which is equally unchangeable.
Well, again, equally unchangeable. So again, this inane notion that we can't fix anything, we can't prevent anything. He couldn't stop himself from making babies. None of this is preventable. No, no, no. We can't act at all to fix anything. What a crock of motherfucking lame shit.
Hating it and never accepting it.
Not applauding a bad performance. Yes, that's right. Acknowledge failure. Acknowledge when you smell like ass, and you smell like ass, buddy. You just admit it. Okay? Fuck you. roach.
Would you consider it sane to refuse to accept that which is absolutely inevitable?
Well, there you go. It's absolutely inevitable that the slums exist and that this happens and that. No, it's not absolutely inevitable in the sense that, yes, it's going to, the world will unfold, and it will unfold based on what kind of notions are in our heads, right? And so if you convince everybody not to show up for the war, then yes, Adolf Hitler wins and everybody's a Nazi. And all the Jews are dead and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's how it works out. So yeah, if everybody just turns into a defeatist, lame, insensitive, what's in it for me asshole, yeah, then you have shit. Oh, God, you suck. Alright, enough of him. Alright, let's go back to bullshit fucker and play the end of his video. See what the grand conclusion is.
Is to prevent a further cracking of even more eggs down the road, if it's guaranteed that it'll do so. Right? So if a prognosticator comes along and tells you that you will undoubtedly prevent more cracking of eggs by cracking just one egg in the here and now, then the negative utilitarian will tolerate cracking that single egg. You'll not.
Yes, it's logical to torture one person to prevent 1,000,000 people from enduring an equal torture. If that's the guaranteed two worlds you get a choice of, one person tortured or 1,000,000 people tortured, yeah, you have to choose the one.
Tolerated for making omelets. The deprivationalist wants to come along and say that omelet making is indistinguishable from egg cracking, because the genuinely neutral line is not in the middle. No, it's at the optimal bliss end. That's the way you achieve neutrality.
Whatever that means. So he's still arguing that there's some grand positive that somehow justifies torturing millions or something. I'm arguing there's nothing you're doing that even justifies stubbed toes, I don't think. I really don't think there is. It's only a delusion of your own psychology that you think so.
Thoughts? I'd be very interested to hear, because every time I've written about it, I've got no counter arguments.
Well, that's because you don't make an argument that's in the, you have to conform an argument to the general audience, and if you're going to use all these inane characterizations and parsing and divisions, then yeah, the meaning of your argument's going to get lost.
From the comments there. So let's see if YouTube is going to be a bit of a difference maker in that respect. 11 minutes. Okay, better stop.
Alright, whatever. So again, he thinks there's a formulation of the conscious experience that could theoretically, in some way, be net positive. That's all. You just got to formulate it correctly, and you can somehow extract from this thing some sort of circumstance where you didn't first create a bad circumstance that needed improving. You didn't create a pimple that needed popping, a psychological pimple, so to speak. That somehow you can win the lottery without being poor, kind of thing. The lottery can be gratifying without having to need the money. I'm doubtful. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. The real point is that even if I was to concede there was some real value to the little joy moments, I wouldn't purchase that joy by imposing unjoy, some negative sensation, some burden on someone else. That would be obnoxious, rude, and stupid. I think you're still using up whatever value there. You're still, really, when you're happy, you're using up its value in the experience, and you really can't pay a price somewhere else to justify it. You just can't. Only in your perception, because your perception is horny for it, and so it exaggerates the value. So in your perception, it's worth, walking a mile for a Camel cigarette. But that's your perception. It's really not worth it. addicts. Addicts do stupid things. Yeah, there. That's my counter argument. Addicts do stupid things and think stupid things. There. Are we done now? Yeah, we're done. Alright, so anyway. So till the next time. Yeah, watching a few dollars more here on the old screen now. Yeah, it's a good movie. Clint Eastwood movie. Little watches playing music. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Kind of a revenge movie, you know. Oh, yeah. Tastes good. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's that kind of thing, right? It's just a bunch of, hey, I can't live with the fact that this fucker raped my sister and killed her, so I guess I have to do something about it, because I'm not just going to live with that shit. But that's just psychology, right? I mean, I'm sure the Lee Van Cleef guy is smart enough to know, hey, I'm not going to bring her back. But he's got the blood of addiction in him. He's got the blood disease of, you don't fuck my kind, or whatever it is. Yeah. You don't fart that loud in my direction. Whatever. Anyway. Till the next time. And such. I think that's enough. Sorry, it's not as... Yeah, it was an adequate video. So, yeah, I won't critique it. Could have been better. But it'll have to do. Piggies. Anyway, till next time. Yeah, I think that's all.